Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So as promised, y'all, I thought I would start our introductory discussion about how to build a long-term pantry. I hope you'll stay tuned. Started, there was a question that came through that got answered to the person, but it's something I wanted to also bring up in this video. So I did receive my battery to charge up, and I've got it fully charged here. But the question was, does it come with a carabiner or a belt hook? So it does, and I have not put it on because, y'all, this thing is heavy enough that it'd pull my britches plumb off. But you could hook it inside your pocketbook. So yes, it comes with the hook and the little Velcro strap. It does have a very tiny instruction book as well. Well, that's upside down. That's how tiny it is, I can't tell. So anyway, getting that ready, and I'm impressed with the quality, guys. So it is linked in the description box below. So I want to talk to you a little bit about building your long-term pantry, why I decided to do it, why many people decide to do it, how it can benefit you, some of the mistakes that I've made, resources that I've tried to use on quantities, and why that didn't work very well for me. So lots of good information is going to be crammed into these next 10-15 minutes. Now, I will share it's only 44 degrees this morning, so we're finally getting those really cool nights and the bright sunny days. We need rain, but there's none in sight. Anyway, so let me take you on a little story time about having a long-term pantry, why I chose to have a long-term pantry, how long it took, and again, of course, the mistakes I made. So first, let's talk about the why. So y'all know, if you've been on my channel for a while, I've had 4 very major spine surgeries. And after Frank, the 4th, I was forced, due to multiple surgical complications, fractures, to retire because I just simply could not keep up the pace of trying to go to work, and with the limitations and the amount of healing time it took. So when that happens, y'all, and you apply for Social Security disability, the average time from application to actually receiving a check is 3 years, 5 months in the state of Ohio. So even though Social Security is a federal program, it is administered at the state level. So depending on your specific state will depend on how long it might take you. I was very fortunate, y'all. I've always said they looked at my medical information. They're like, she gonna die. We might as well pay her out. So hold on a minute. Have to go get a hanky-panky. Sorry, y'all. Emergency drink time. So I'll have to get up again here in a second. But at any rate, you go a period of time with 0 income, which is a scary thing to be in the middle of. But job loss or an illness or a crisis like that can take you away from paycheck, can be one reason why you want to start building up your food supplies, your household goods, your health and beauty. So when I say pantry, I'm talking about more than just food. I know we focus a lot on this channel about food, but things like toothpaste and deodorant and toilet tissue and Kleenex and all of those things kind of make up the long-term pantry. So another reason that I chose to kind of beef up my stock was because Y'all, I hate to go to the grocery. I absolutely hate going to the grocery. Always have, probably always will. Do I do it when I need to? Well, of course I do. But if you buy in bulk for what's reasonable for you and your family, and you store it properly and you rotate it, you can really stretch out those visits to the grocery store. And for me, the less time I'm in the grocery store, or the less amount of times, the less money I spend overall. So along with not enjoying the grocery, for me, just time in the car, it's a 40-minute round trip, which is not that bad, 20 minutes there. But if I can lower the amount of times that I have to go clear into town, big town, it saves wear and tear on my car, it saves gas over time. It's not a humongous savings, but it does save me a bit of money. And of course, as I was recovering from surgery, I couldn't lift. So thank you to those friends who helped me out with some groceries. But it really brought to mind for me that I wasn't as well prepared as I'd like to think. So yes, I did some canning, but it was more for fun rather than to really look at what did I need. And you've all seen the fruits of that, because I made a lot of things for my mom that I simply had to divest myself of. So other things that can happen. I live in Ohio. We get a lot of snow and ice. We occasionally have blizzards. We haven't had one since 78, I think it was, 1978. So it's been a while, but we do get very inclement weather that can shut down the roads. And y'all, I don't know if you have run across this, but I had one day where I was in town where nobody had, the credit card swipers weren't working. Everybody's internet was down. And this was not based on inclement weather. So, you know, sometimes I have cash, most of the time I don't. Franklin McMeowmeister, hey, y'all want a cat? Frankie, you can't do that. No, get down. Come here. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Oh. Say hello to the people. Okay, that's very good. Thank you, baby. Maybe now he'll behave himself. So it can be, you know, a power outage can cause problems with supply. We just went through the threat, well, not a threat because it actually happened a few days, but the longshoremen, the port workers strike. And guys, that's not resolved either, because it's kind of the cooling off period where they went back to work. They got ever how much increase that they got, but they're still not under contract. So in January, we're going to go through all of this all over again. And what can happen even with a 2 or 3 week shipping shutdown? I mean, how many of you all are still, maybe you order something and you have to call to check on it because it doesn't come when it's supposed to come, and they're still giving the excuse of the V. So, you know, here we are way out from the pandemic and what happened. I mean, there's still cases popping up, and I understand that, but, you know, people are building their toilet paper forts all over again. Might have done it myself. So things like that. Hurricanes. Y'all, think of all those poor people in North Carolina, some people in Tennessee that were just stranded. It wasn't even a matter of being able to bug out or have an emergency plan. And I'm not trying to be gloom and doom. I just want you to think about things that could potentially affect you and affect your ability to source items like food, cleaning products, and health and beauty. I think COVID taught us a lot. Always have toilet paper. But that was a very much a scarcity mindset, because the original V did not have tummy troubles associated with it where you would need an inordinate amount. So, you know, that's creature comfort. That's something that people like to do. So I went on in search. So that's kind of my why. Hate to grocery shop. It's not close. things keep happening and prices are not getting any cheaper. So I went on the hunt, and everybody was raving about the book, A Year Without a Grocery Store. Now, while it's entertaining, I personally, and I'm not criticizing the author, left the book with, well, that's great, but they have little kids and they eat things I don't eat, and, you know, I'm allergic to soy, so that wasn't terribly helpful for me. I did buy this book. You can get it used too, so, but it's called Prepper's Pantry, Building a Nutritious Stockpile to Survive Blizzards, Blackouts is another thing, hurricanes, pandemics, economic collapse, or any other disaster. Now, I don't want to live in fear of all these things happening every single day of my life. I can't live that way. I like to be prepared as I possibly can so I am not vulnerable should one of these events happen, or I'm at least reasonably prepared. This book is interesting, but also kind of left me with, one, a sense of overwhelm, and two, still kind of scratching my head, where do I start? And y'all, we're going to talk about where do you start, and then subsequent videos we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, storage plans and keeping your food fresh and rotating your food supply. But this says why everyone needs a supply, how much do you need? And I'm like, that is what I need to know. The components of a perfect pantry, prepping for those with dietary restrictions, thrifty way of new way of shopping, and then a week-by-week plan with shopping lists and the whole business. You know, everything from gravy to homemade cottage cheese. So it does have some recipes in it. So I could get on board with the why, but what I couldn't get on board with was, it's kind of the cookie cutter list of things that many people prepped during, you know, a lot of our shutdown and our supply chain issues, etc. So what is that? Y'all say it with me, rice and beans. Y'all, I'm not a big fan of rice. Really just kind of don't like rice. I jumped on that bandwagon. I have now shared that with others because I have bought so much, I will never get through it all. Other things that I saw here, let me grab this page. Okay, so what it says is, for every person over 7 years old, you need 300 pounds of grain, and this is a 1-year supply of food also. 60 pounds of beans, 75 pounds of dried milk, 15 pounds of fat, and 1,500 servings of fruits and vegetables, which can be a combination of dried, canned, and fresh. I don't know about y'all, that is tremendously like an overwhelming amount. So where did I start? I started saying, okay, let me have a 1-month supply. And if y'all remember, if you're, you know, from the OG, I didn't have the refrigerator. I had 2 big blue tubs, you know, like the storage Rubbermaid tubs. And I had vacuum sealed or put in the Mylar bags, all sorts of things, which I did use the majority of them. That was the best that I could do from a weight limit standpoint, from buying in bulk standpoint, not being able to fully grow everything because I was still recovering, right? So here is the golden tip, guys. I think this makes it so much easier. Now, you all know whether you have 1, 2, or 3 meals a day at home. I have 3 meals a day at home. Rarely do I eat out. So how I started was I saved a whole bunch of grocery receipts and I just laid them out and I looked to see, what do I buy on the regular? Every single receipt. You know, am I buying bread flour? Because I was making my own bread. Am I buying sugar? Am I buying butter? What are those things that I'm always subpar level on. And then from my grocery lists, I sat down and I wrote up, to the best of my memory, what did I eat? So for breakfast, was it overnight oats? Was it a yogurt parfait I made with homemade granola? Was it eggs from my girls? All of those breakfasts that I have a tendency to rotate. I did a similar thing for my dinner. I eat my dinner at lunchtime, so that's my big meal. So what did I cook? So what this did not take into account is not everyone likes dry milk. I use almost none. I do have one bread recipe I will use it in. That's it. I don't like it for drinking. And if it would be emergent and you couldn't get cow's milk, which I don't drink anyway, it wouldn't be powdered milk that I would substitute. So then I it took a while, got like a monthly rotation. Okay, here's what I have for breakfast and dinner, and then I eat a very light evening meal, sometimes cheese and crackers, something like that. I don't eat a huge meal, but I've already cooked that big meal. Saying I need 1,500 servings of fruit and vegetable totally overwhelmed me. And what I found is I don't eat much fruit, but I do eat a lot of veg. So I think the key and why sometimes these books feel off, or like you finish it and you're like, well, that's nice for them, but their 35 menu plans are not things I or my family or my children will eat. Even sitting down, if you're feeding more than yourself with your children, if you're feeding grandchildren, if you're feeding spouse type thing, you want to find out, what do they like? What do they want to see on the menu? Don't go buy 50 pounds of rice if your family hates rice. Kym Clark, I didn't buy 50 pounds, but I bought a lot. So once you've kind of got a plan, perhaps you go at filling up that extra menu, because your menu is going to change seasonally and it's going to change month to month, but it's a good place to start. And you can keep on keeping track of your menus. I don't menu plan, but it helps to know, what am I buying and consuming? What am I buying and not consuming? What do I always seem to run out of? And those little principles got me started. And I have to tell you, it's been one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. It gives you a sense of security, a bit of peace in some of these uncertain times. It's really nice to have some extra food and, shampoo and those type of things on hand. I will tell you that at times I overbought salt. Salt doesn't spoil, but still, you got to store it, right? Sometimes I way underbought. So I would think, well, I'm a prepper and I have a deep freeze, and I would go to get something and it wouldn't be there. Things like a new pound of butter or a box of crackers, because I don't make my own crackers. So that is a really good place to start. And if y'all don't have any type of extra food supply, even just having a week or 2 weeks can really be beneficial. Maybe you don't have storage space. I converted an entire room into a pantry because I have 4 bedrooms, and so it was easy for me to do. My son, who lived in a very small apartment at the time of he actually did prepping and sealed them in mason jars of, he loves rice, beans, things that he knew. He is still getting through that. It's still good. And I guarantee you the price that he spent pre and early V is way lower than what we're spending right now. So in my opinion, y'all, there's just every reason to have that extra level of preparedness. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not predicting any disasters, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. What I'm encouraging you to do is don't be vulnerable during these uncertain times. There's some unrest across the pond, in the Middle East. There's just all sorts of things going on in the world that could be affecting our food supply. So I don't do it from a scarcity mindset. I do it from, well, that would be one thing I would not have to worry about should we have a blizzard. I know I can feed myself. I know that if the power goes out, I have a camp stove. I have a generator, you know, all of those little things when you put it together. So how long did it take me? Honestly, guys, a good 5 years. I'm just being honest, because I started to do Azure Standard. I was able to buy in bulk. I expanded my shelving units. So don't be discouraged if it takes, shoot for a week or 2 weeks for your family at this time. So I think that's a good place to start. I think it's a good place to end this video. So today, guys, we were supposed to go to the pumpkin wagon. And y'all, just tell you, I've been struggling with a bit of a lupus flare. That's why I don't look very good. That's why my eyes are a bit swollen. But I'm feeling better today, so that's a good thing. But I just didn't feel like doing all the walking, and it's very cold. It's 44 degrees here, or it's chilly. It's not cold. So I thought, you know, we'll catch that maybe later on in the month for sure. So do me a big favor, if you would, before you leave, go ahead and smash that like button and leave me a comment below. Where do you think your sweet spot is in how many weeks of supplies that you would like to have on your shelf as we go into, if you're in North America, we go into the cooler months, not all of North America, but certainly Ohio does. So I will see you all a little later this week, Lord willing. Y'all, I hate saying that, but you know, some days you just don't know how you're going to feel. And I've got a dentist appointment tomorrow, not the surgery yet. So thank you for your time today. And as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.